Hey, so I got a super important topic for today. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the most important topics when it comes to overcoming depression and making myself feel better and getting on track to becoming the person that I want to be. And the topic is food. Now, this is going to be something I make a lot of videos about going forward because it's something I've learned a whole lot about over the last few years, both good and bad. And today I want to talk to you about my food addiction. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have considered myself to be a food addict. I knew I had bad eating habits, I knew I was unhealthy, I knew I was overweight. All of that was very obvious, but I would have never looked you in the face and honestly said, yeah, I'm addicted to bad food. But over the last couple of years, I've been really observing myself and really observing the way I feel and how I eat and the way I act about food and certain kinds of food especially. And I've really started to notice that I am, in fact, a junk food addict. I have a problem. And I'll tell you a couple stories you'll see just how bad it really was. But anyway, I've noticed when I look back over my life, especially the last couple years that have been kind of lots of ups and downs in how I was feeling. I was way up when I first decided not to kill myself, and I was riding that crest for a long time, and then I kind of came back down into the darkness again for a little while, and I stopped reaching out and I stopped doing the things I needed to be doing, and I just started slipping back towards being that person that I didn't want to be. And when I look at all the times that I've had those real down points in my life and the times when I've really felt good, it's all been around the food. I mean, it's a crazy thing, right? It seems so simple. You hear it all the time. You are what you eat. And to think about it logically right now in this moment, it makes perfect sense to me, right? If I'm putting junk food in my body is literally building itself out of the building blocks that I'm feeding it. My brain is building itself out of the building blocks that I'm giving it. And the chemicals that control this amazing chemical supercomputer in my head are all directly tied to what I eat. And so it makes sense that if I'm putting junk in, I'm going to get junk out. It makes perfect sense. But of course, sometimes when you're in the depths of a low point and you're just eating for energy and other reasons, and you don't always think about it, right? When you're eating unconsciously, when you're behaving unconsciously, you don't always recognize those connections between such a seemingly simple thing and yet something that's so important. So some of you know, some of you don't. Back in end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I first discovered the Wildfit 90-day challenge. And it was a total accident how I discovered it. It was just, it was offered as an extra to a seminar that I wanted to go to, and I took it, and it ended up totally transforming my health and my relationship to food and everything for a while. It's been permanent, but my actions were temporary for a little while. Anyway, I should be careful how I talk about that, because the words I use are very powerful, because it hasn't been temporary, it has been permanent. It's just there's been some ups and downs on the road. Anyway, so I did this Wildfit 90-day challenge. The day I started, I was 344 pounds, I think. I was heavy. I was real heavy, real big, real unhealthy. I hated to look at myself in the mirror. I especially hated to look at myself in photographs. I had no energy, I was lethargic all the time, I was constantly hungry too, I was just shoveling myself with food all the time trying to get some sustenance, not knowing at the time that really what I needed was some nutrition. It wasn't about the energy, right? But that's a whole other topic. Anyway, I started to notice that when I was feeling really good, it was right after my first 90 days of Wildfit that I was feeling at my best, really and truly the best I've felt in my life up until that point. And it was amazing. I had lost 55 pounds I lost 35 pounds the first time, 55 the second time. But I had lost 35 pounds. I was almost down under 300 pounds again. I was feeling great. My clothes were fitting better. I was starting to see some ripples of muscles under my skin again, which was amazing because I'd really never seen that since I had been in my early 20s, maybe even late teens. And I was feeling fantastic. It was really great. And I rode that wave for a long time. I went for close to a year of almost pure clean eating. You know, I'm occasional slips here and there because nobody's perfect, of course, but in general, I stuck to it hard, and I was proud of myself, man. I was living the dream. I was on fire. I had nothing but energy all the time. I hardly ever had to sleep more than 4 hours in a night, and it wasn't that I was depriving myself of sleep at all. It was just that I wasn't tired. I would go to bed and I'd lay there and I'm like, well, I got a crazy amount of energy, and so I'd get up and do stuff, and then I'd go to bed later on. I'd sleep for a while, wake up in the morning feeling fantastic. It's like, well, I guess I'm rested. And I mean, it was awesome. You know, I was feeling really great. I was on the top of the world. But, you know, slowly some things started to happen in my life, and I started to make some exceptions, and I started to allow myself to deviate from my food rules quite a bit. I started feeding myself more junk, and sure enough, that coincided with the beginning of the slow decline back into the darkness of depression that I had been feeling. Now, I had learned a lot of stuff that helped me cope with it. I had learned a lot of other coping mechanisms that helped me be able to cover up the fact that I was going back down that dark slope. But in general, I was going back down, and I was hiding it as best I could. But really, I mean, the people around me could see that I was gaining weight again, and my energy levels were low again. I was back to sleeping 8, 9, sometimes 10 hours a night and still being exhausted. I was back to being hungry all the time. Like, when I was at the peak of my nutrition, I could bang off a 5-day fast like it was nothing. Like, it didn't even bother me. I was so well nourished and my body was functioning so well. And then it got to the point where it's like I couldn't go a couple hours without eating something. And of course, I was starting to make the wrong decisions in those moments, right? I wasn't reaching for an Alka-Geyser or fruit or something with a lot of nutrition. I was stopping at the drive-thru or running to the corner store, starting to make the wrong decisions again. Then, of course, things got better, a little bit better. I met somebody that inspired me a lot in September 2019, and I got really excited. And I thought, yeah, you know what, this is kind of cool. And I kind of had a little crush on her, and I thought, you know, if I start treating myself right, this girl's going to notice me, and I'll become the kind of person she might be attracted to, and it's going to be great, right? Well, you know how well external motivation like that works, right? It doesn't. But for a few months it did, and I started eating well again. I lost some weight again. I was back down into the low 300s. Weight-wise, my clothes were fitting good again. I was starting to have that energy back. I was starting to feel like my new self. I was starting to feel like I was on the way to becoming the guy that I wanted to be. It was amazing. It really was. And then slowly over time that motivation waned, you know, because like I said, it was external. I was doing it for somebody other than me, and for some reason that was not particularly compelling to me, to be honest. And because of that, I started making small exceptions to my food rules. You know, I would eat the wrong things more often than I should, and I wouldn't eat the right things as often as I should, and I would be hard on myself about it. But I was still generally on the right track. You know, my weight was still trending down. I was still feeling really good, and things were general looking up. But then 2020 came. And I mean, you know, a lot of people know why I'm laughing. It's been a wild year for so many different reasons, but the beginning of the year was fantastic. You know, I was working at a new job that was really amazing. My company was flourishing. My landscaping company was flourishing. Life was good. You know, I had an office to go to every day where I was doing some writing work and a lot of speaking work, and like I was on the upswing, and I was starting to feel powerful and great. And then toward the end of January, I met this girl that just totally blew my mind. Like, she was unreal. She was just amazing, and we started a relationship, and it was really, really awesome for a while. You know, we connected deeply. We had this great give and take, and I was feeling like $1 million. I was trying to take care of myself the very best I could. I was trying to make sure I was in peak condition. I was trying to make sure I had all the energy in the world, because it was like suddenly I had this guiding force. And I mean, the last facet of my life that wasn't how I wanted it to be, the relationship facet, and suddenly I could see how it was going to possibly one day become how I wanted it to be, and things were great. And unfortunately, she lived a province away and I lived a province away, and we had lots of plans to visit tons and go back and forth, and we were gonna have a summer full of adventures, and it was awesome. And then coronavirus came, and travel restrictions came, and lockdowns came, and we were separated for a long time, and she had some drama in her life and I had some drama in my life, and we started to grow distant, and we just drifted apart. And one day I got a message from her that she just couldn't do it anymore, and I was devastated. Like, I was crushed. It was the first time in my life I've ever gone through a serious breakup that was like something that I thought had a future and something that looked like it was gonna be awesome, and it just evaporated in front of my eyes. And that was the trigger that sent me down a real negative spiral in terms of food. You know, I was feeling empty. I had this huge hole in my heart that I was trying to stuff with junk food, and I was right back to my old self, you know, eating junk and treating myself badly and going down this negative spiral. And that's what ultimately landed me where I was a couple weeks ago, when I had that realization that it's like, man, I'm down in the dumps as bad as I was a few years ago, and I have to start taking the action to feel better, because like, I just wasn't treating myself well. And I remember very distinctly making that decision, and I thought to myself, what can you do right now, right this moment, to start feeling better? And I remember it very clearly, because I had just woken up. It was a Monday morning. I didn't have a lot of work to do. My crew was off doing stuff on their own, and I was at home, and I thought, I was about to go to Tim Hortons and get coffee and a donut and junk food to have for breakfast. And the voice in the back of my head spoke up, and it was like, no, if you want to feel better, you have to start acting like somebody who wants to feel better. If you want to be the person you want to be, you have to start making those decisions again, because you know how powerful it is. You've done it before. You know you can do it again. You said you wanted to for months now, get it under control. And I mean, you keep saying tomorrow or next week, and it never comes. And I finally realized, like, if I was going to turn the corner and if I was going to actually take the steps to start making myself feel better, I had to start with what I was putting in my body. If I was going to feel better, and if I was going to get over this breakup, and I was going to start doing the things that I wanted to do in life, and having the energy that I wanted to have, and showing up in the world and being proud of the person I saw in the mirror again, like, it all started with food. So I made myself an Alka-Geyser. This is a kind of smoothie that's it's incredibly nutritious and very delicious, and it's foundational to the way I live my life now and want to live my life going forward for the rest of it. But I made myself an Alka-Geyser and I drank it. And I remember I took a photo of it and I posted on my Instagram story, and I said, I wrote on the photo that I was using food to overcome depression, and stay tuned for a bunch of videos on it. And that was this video series that I was talking about. Unfortunately, that was about 3 weeks ago, and it's taken me some time, but here I am now anyway. That's the important thing. So I drank this Alka-Geyser, and it didn't change anything fundamentally, but the next day I did it again. And I did it again, and I started getting back in the habit of, before I ate anything else, I would eat something incredibly nutritious. And then anytime I ate anything, I would do it incredibly thoughtfully, and I would consider it first, and I would ask myself that important question of, is this something that the person I'm trying to become would eat? Sometimes the answer was no, and I ate it anyway, but I was very clear that I was making the wrong decision, and I was conscious about it, and I thought about it a lot. And slowly, over a couple of days, I was making less and less of the wrong decisions. And then it got to the point where I wasn't even wanting to make the wrong decisions. And then it was really cool. One day I decided, I gave myself permission. I'm gonna have a cheat day. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a cheat day. I'm gonna eat all the junk food again. I'm gonna pay attention to how it makes me feel. So I drove to the grocery store. I went to the grocery section, or the bakery section rather, which was one of my go-tos when I was binge eating. And I looked around, I said, you can have anything you want, whatever you want, just have it, guilt-free, whatever. And I looked around. For about 10 minutes I walked around in that grocery store, and I never did grab anything. I ended up getting, I think, a container of blackberries, and I can't remember what else, but a nectarine or something like that. And that's what I walked out with, and I was like, huh. My idea of a bad food decision now is some fruit. That's interesting. And since then I've been very conscious. I've been making sure I have my alkalizers every day. I eat my tons and tons of vegetables all the time. I'm super conscious about how I'm eating. And you know what? Over the last 3 weeks, my mentality has shifted dramatically. You know, I'm able to get out of bed easily. I'm way less negative than I was a couple weeks ago. My pants are fitting way better. My overalls that I wear when I'm landscaping, I couldn't get the side buttons done up for a while, and now I can do them up, and they're loose already. I've lost 18 pounds in 3 weeks, guys. This is crazy, just from being conscious about how I'm eating again, and I feel fantastic. I'm getting compliments from people about how I'm looking and that I'm looking healthy, and that of course boosts my confidence and helps me feel better. It's been really quite remarkable, and it's all down to food. So I guess my point is, be careful about what you're eating. You know, if you're feeling crappy and depressed, pay attention to what you're putting into your body. It's not an easy thing to do, trust me, I know. I was the guy who was at 8:30 at night sneaking out of my house so that my family wouldn't see me, going to buy 10 to 15,000 calories worth of junk food and bring it home and eat it. Stuff myself till I wanted to be sick, and then wait it out and stuff myself some more. And, like, it was bad. Like, I was full on addict. I was spending sometimes $60 to $70 a day on crap food. There was a couple times I would eat 3 pizzas in a night, just trying to stuff this emptiness inside me. And of course nothing worked. Nothing made the feelings go away. Nothing helped. It all just made me feel worse and fat and unhealthy and low energy. But I'm back to working on solving that, and I'm really excited about it. And I feel like now that I'm acknowledging the addiction and seeing the pattern, I'm ready to watch for it more, and I'm more equipped to handle it and know when I'm making those bad decisions. Because there's been some times, even especially in the last couple of days, where I've been tempted to make the wrong decisions, and I just keep going back to that question: is this something that the guy I say I want to be would do? And the answer is always no. It's not the kind of person I want to be. I want to be the kind of person who drinks my green smoothies and eats my lean protein and carries on life with a crazy amount of energy and a crazy amount of enthusiasm and a crazy amount of exuberance and vibrancy. And I feel like that's where I'm headed now that I'm eating better again, and it's all down to the food. You know, the activities and finding a new relationship partner and finding joy in life and all that stuff seems super easy now that my eating is under control. But just 3 weeks ago, when my eating was out of control, it all felt impossible. I wasn't to the point of questioning whether it was worth living. I wasn't to that point, but there were definitely days when I woke up thinking I would be better off not to be here anymore. And to think that just the way I was eating changed that was really remarkable, and I'm just so thrilled, and I'm so glad to have that reinforcement in my life, and to know that yes, food is that powerful. I mean, it is a drug, there's no question about it. It is the most powerful, most effective drug on the planet. It will help. It's the most overused, abused antidepressant, and it doesn't work. Bad food is, and good food and healthy lifestyle is the least used antidepressant, and it is the most effective, at least in my experience. So watch out for what you eat, because you are what you eat, and I am what I eat. And now that I'm eating better, I'm feeling better, and I'm doing better, and everything is better. So if you're feeling dark, you know, drink a smoothie, you know, make it a healthy one, and start to make those conscious food choices, and you'll be quite amazed how quickly things turn around. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking it through this long video, and I'll speak to you again very soon.